Ladies and gentlemen, we are under attack. Our very way of life, our very existence is threatened. They have already taken over Washington. They continue to destroy our Constitution. It is time to take back our country now.
The Wise Conservative Show, bringing wisdom back to politics.
Hello, and welcome to the Wise Conservative Show. I am your host, Connor Wise. My co-host, Dakota Wise, is gone this week. He is on a trip to Washington, D.C. He will be back next week to join me again. Now, if you've actually been looking at any news whatsoever, it's pretty obvious that the DNC has had so many problems. It's pretty obvious that a lot of Bernie fans are very angry. And yesterday, something that actually didn't get televised very much, in fact, I'm not sure if any mainstream news media actually picked this up, is that there was actually a delegate walkout between many Bernie Sanders delegates. This came after Hillary Clinton won the nomination, and they got up, they organized it very quickly, and they left. A lot of the delegates went to the media tent and just occupied that for a little bit. But this walkout, it really shows that there is a lot of protest going on. And for some reason, it wasn't televised. To Tuesday's protest, so yesterday's protests, there were protests all 3 days so far, but yesterday's protests were much larger and vigorous than Monday's protests. And obviously, they were chanting many different things. But I'm actually really happy to hear this. They're still chanting "lock her up" in regards to Hillary Clinton, and that's of course something that you heard at the RNC back in Cleveland. So these protests are actually getting larger, and as I said, the walkout, that was really big news. No one knew that was going to happen, and they actually coincided with the protesters outside that were also Bernie supporters, well, used to be Bernie supporters. They coincided with those people, and they all protested at the same time as the walkout. And presidential candidate Jill Stein, we talked about her last week or the week before on this show, actually. She's the Green Party nominee for president. She showed up. She showed up outside to their protests and tried to talk to them. But no one could hear what she was saying because the crowd was too loud. She did get a megaphone, but even that didn't help her at all, so the crowd didn't even hear her. Then Stein went inside to the media tent and addressed them as well. I wish I could have gotten some audio of that for you guys, but I don't have any audio of that. But what I do have is this clip. I played it on Monday's show as I filled in for Jason Veely. But some of you, I'm sure, haven't heard this. It's very, it really talks about all of these protests, so take a listen.
The fact that Debbie Wasserman Schultz stepped down to appease us and Hillary hired her 2 split seconds later to run her campaign, it shows that Hillary's involved in all of it, as is Obama. I am going to wait to see where I think my vote will most hurt Hillary. I might even vote Trump. I've been a Democrat my whole life. I'm 60 years old. And it'll be the first time I've ever cast a vote for a Republican, but if it'll keep Hillary out of office, I'll vote Trump. But most of us are leaning towards Jill Stein. We will not vote for Hillary, and even though the news media keeps telling people, none of these people will. In fact, on Thursday, 13 million people are doing the Dem exit, which is we're leaving the Democratic Party on Thursday, for good.
I'm very interested to see if the Dem exit is what they're calling it, obviously modeled after Brexit. I'm very interested to see if that actually takes place. If it does, that will really just confirm all of the reports of this chaos that's going on. It'll confirm that their party isn't unified and that, well, the Republicans are in fact more unified than the Democrats, even though the Dems seem to try and make it seem like their party is perfect right now. There's actually a network called Bernie Delegates Network, And this organization has been working through the entire DNC to work out protest times, to talk to the media and tell them about different protests. And they asked delegates, they ran a poll between Bernie delegates, and they asked them this question. Having heard the speeches at the convention, are you more enthusiastic, less enthusiastic, or unchanged about the Democratic ticket? Obviously, it's a big deal about Bernie not winning for all of these delegates. They feel like it was rigged, which, in fact, it was rigged. And so a lot of them are angry. And, well, that shows in this poll with 55% of those Bernie delegates saying that they are less enthusiastic after hearing the speakers, and only 21% saying that their enthusiasm has even increased. So it's obvious that this divide is getting larger the longer this convention goes on, that this trouble is getting more and more rampant as this convention goes on. And in fact, there are people, these Sanders supporters or previous Sanders supporters, are even booing Bernie Sanders. Take a listen.
Immediately, right now, we have got to defeat Donald Trump. And we have got to elect Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine. Brothers and sisters, this is the real world that we live in. Trump is a bully and a demagogue. Trump has made bigotry and hatred the cornerstone of his campaign.
I love how they always go back to Trump is a bully. That's been their biggest argument throughout this entire campaign season. I mean, it's even been an argument among some Republicans in the primary season. Jeb Bush used it an awful lot. Look how well that worked out. But I've been looking at the live blog as well of today's DNC from Fox News. And earlier, Martin O'Malley spoke for the convention, where he said, quote, I say to hell with Trump's American nightmare. Here's what I learned on playgrounds in Catholic school. All bullies are cowards in disguise. But unlike that immigrant-bashing, carnival barker Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton actually knows the enduring symbol of America is not a barbed wire fence. Now, I find that hilarious that he even says that, considering they have an 8-foot-tall fence around the entire convention trying to keep the Bernie Sanders protesters out of it. And then, of course, he says all bullies are cowards in disguise. They just keep calling Trump a bully because, you know what? He's not using political correctness. They keep calling him a bully because he's actually calling out the corruption and the tyranny that's going on within the Democratic Party right now. They're calling him a bully because he tells everything for what it actually is. And honestly, I don't understand how they say that he bashes all immigrants. I mean, his wife is an immigrant. I don't understand how they can't differentiate the two between illegal immigrants and just normal legal immigrants. They can't seem to keep those two separate. They can't seem to understand the legal part that Donald Trump is against and that the Republican Party is against. And instead they say, oh, he's an anti-immigrant, he's racist. That's just not true, folks. Last time I checked, illegal isn't a race. But Democrats, including Martin O'Malley apparently, they all seem to think that illegal immigrants They don't have to follow the law. On the first day of the convention, they actually brought an illegal immigrant onto the stage. And they had people cheer because this person was here illegally. I don't see why they think that that's a good thing. I don't see why they think that breaking a nation's law is a good thing. But then they go back to, oh, he's a bully for wanting them not in this country. It astounds me that they continue to go back to that failed argument. And then Harry Reid also went up to stage and gave a speech this past day in the convention. They've really been trying to bash Donald Trump today, apparently. Reid called him a hateful con man and an egomaniac. He said, quote, "When Trump decided to run for president, he probably said to himself, 'I'm an egomaniac. I don't believe in science. I think women are inferior. Where would I feel at home?'" That's, of course, referencing him saying that all Republicans are like that, saying that he joined the Republican Party because all of us think that women are inferior, that science doesn't prove anything, and, of course, we're all egomaniacs. I don't understand how someone who is literally at a convention where emails came out and showed that they called Hispanic voters Mexican bulls, that they showed that they were working together to actively keep someone else from actually achieving the nomination. I don't see how they can say that we're the ones that hate immigrants, that hate minorities, that are racist. And just because we don't want to vote for Hillary Clinton does not mean that we think women are inferior. We have many women as elected Republicans in Congress and as governors and within state legislature. We have nothing against women in office. But it's Hillary Clinton that we have a problem with. Because we know that she is corrupt. We know that she doesn't care about America. We know that she doesn't care about our rights. We know that all she wants is more power. He went on to attack Mitch McConnell, saying that his Republican Party decided that the answer to hardworking Americans' dreams is to slander our African-American president, stoke fear of Muslims, sow hatred of Latinos, insult Asians, and of course, wage war against women. All right, let's take this apart real quick. Slander our African-American president. Now, from everything I've seen people attacking Barack Obama, it has never been his race. It has always been his divisive policies. It has always been him trying to fundamentally change America to be like those Slavic countries that are nothing like our country. It's always been because of his failed policies. No one in the Republican Party is slandering him because he's African American. But again, just as the same thing that the China poll with Hillary Clinton, just because we don't like him and he happens to be African American, Democrats think that that makes us racist. I feel like they're the ones being racist just from saying that, we have to think only solely based on race. He says that we stoke fear of Muslims. Well, folks, have you noticed any Christians going around having any mass shootings, blowing themselves up? Have you noticed that recently? Have you noticed any Christian terrorists recently? Because I sure haven't. We're not stoking fear of Muslims. We're telling the truth. It's radical Muslims that are attacking our country and our allies. It is radical Muslims that are in the Middle East in a group called the Islamic State. It's not radical Christians in that. It's not radical Christians yelling Allahu Akbar as they blow up some building. It's not Christians that just attacked a Catholic church and slit the throat of a priest. No, it's radical Muslims that are doing that. So we're not stoking fear, we're just telling the truth. And I love this one, I already touched on it. So hatred of Latinos. The Democrats actively worked together and called Hispanic voters taco bowls. They said that they had to get them for this election because the taco bowls are loyal for generations. Their entire family is loyal. I don't see any of that going on in the Republican Party. All I see is us trying to stop illegal immigration. That's not sowing hatred of Latinos. That's trying to protect our country. And honestly, I don't even know where this next one comes in. Insult Asians? I don't see any of us insulting Asians for anything. Maybe he's trying to touch on because Obama sort of apologized for Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Maybe he's trying to say that we insult Asians because we think that the bomb dropping was a good thing. I don't know where he's... It's a reach trying to say anything, saying that we insult Asians. And then wage war against women. Last time I checked, it was the Clinton family that has had a war against women for their entire political career. It's the Clintons, Bill Clinton specifically, who has many accusations of sexual harassment, of rape. It's Hillary Clinton who defended a rapist who she knew was guilty and laughed at the little girl, the 13-year-old girl who he raped, saying that she didn't know anything because she was too young. Then she went in an interview and said, yeah, I know that my client is guilty, but that doesn't matter. The Clintons have been waging a war on women for their entire career. I don't see any Republicans doing anything like that. All of these arguments that they keep using are completely false. All of these arguments that they continue to use are based upon a bunch of lies that they continue to say, trying to make the impressionable minds of America think that all conservatives are racist, are sexist, hate anyone who isn't white. And it's just not true, folks. Don't go anywhere. This is the Wise Conservative Show.
And that, class, is why America is the worst country in the history of the world.
Are you sick of your professors telling you lies?
Now remember, children, if you're white, it means you're privileged. Don't ever forget that.
Do you sit through class convinced that your head is going to explode at any given moment? Sounds like you could use some backup. Visit youthrevolt.org for exclusive content produced by young conservatives for young conservatives. Youth Revolt features a dedicated team of radio hosts, political columnists, and video bloggers, all of whom are 100% committed to taking back the future of this country. So what are you waiting for? Tune out your Marxist professor and visit youthrevolt.org now.
8 years with Obama, and now no one knows what bathroom to use.
The Wise Conservative Show, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Only on Youth Revolt.
Tune in to Millennials Rising, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday nights, for a conservative outlook on pop culture and American politics. Together we can reinstitute values back into our nation's young people and help create an alternative path away from the mainstream liberal agenda. Tune in to Millennials Rising, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday nights, only on Youth Revolt. The idea behind Youth Revolt is to let them, these liberal professors, let them know that we are here and we're ready to fight.
Youth Revolt. Speak without fear.
Hey, little boy, you want some free college?
Bernie Sanders, that creepy uncle your mom warned you about. The Wise Conservative Show. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Only on Youth Revolt.
Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show. I am your host, Connor Wise. Over the break, I was looking at the live blog from Fox News again, and Joe Biden is speaking at the DNC right now. Apparently for several minutes he didn't even mention Hillary. Then he went on to say, everybody knows she's smart. Everybody knows she's tough. But I know what she's passionate about. He went on to then slam Trump for, quote, a lack of empathy and compassion. He's trying to tell us he cares about the middle class. Give me a break. That's a bunch of malarkey. Wow, so now he's saying that Trump, of all people, while he's there supporting Hillary, doesn't care about the middle class. All of Donald Trump's speech, actually all of the speeches throughout the entire RNC, were saying how Donald Trump actually has helped the middle class in the past and how he's planning on helping it in the future. And last time I checked, Hillary Clinton hasn't helped the middle class at all. In fact, she wants to raise taxes. That's not going to help the middle class. She wants to, quote, put coal miners out of business. That's definitely not going to help the middle class. Hillary Clinton doesn't care about the middle class whatsoever. All she cares about is votes. All she cares about is getting that power. She will say anything and do anything to win the presidency. She hasn't stopped pandering yet, and she won't stop until she's in the Oval Office. We all know that. If there's any more big updates on Biden's speech, I'll let you guys know. But continuing on the DNC, yesterday Bill Clinton, or actually yesterday or today, sorry, I'm not exactly sure, Bill Clinton gave a speech. And of course, he compared the RNC to the DNC. Take a listen.
How does this square? How does this square with the things that you heard at the Republican convention? What's the difference in what I told you and what they said? How do you square it? You can't. One is real, the other is made up. The real one had done more positive change-making before she was 30 than many public officials do in a lifetime in office.
Now, of course, this fits the entire liberal narrative that we've seen since the RNC began. CNN, MSNBC, all of the different news agencies sent out notifications saying that the RNC is projecting an unrealistic doom and gloom reality. And President Obama then went on an interview and said that this doom and gloom reality just isn't true. Now, I'm not sure if some of you have seen this picture. There's a screenshot from CNN's website. On the left, it has Obama's quote for the top of the article, saying that Trump's doom and gloom reality just isn't real. And then right next to it was the Munich attack. This rainbows and unicorns reality that the Democrats are trying to set up is not true. And then they go and say that our reality isn't true because we're pointing out the truth that terrorism is rampant throughout the entire world. That our police officers are being gunned down in the streets because of divisive policies and a divisive Black Lives Matters movement. That we actually want to boost up our military so that we can fight our adversaries. I don't see how that's unrealistic. I don't see how wanting to lower taxes to help the middle class, to help our economy jump back, I don't see how that's unrealistic. What's unrealistic is the fact that the Democrats refuse to actually name the enemy, radical Islamic jihadism. What's unrealistic is the Democrats continue to support the organization of Black Lives Matters, who actively try to gun down our police officers. What's unrealistic is the Democrats wanting to raise taxes, saying that that'll increase prosperity within our country. What's unrealistic is the fact that the Democrats think that more government will help more people. It's not the truth that the Republicans are unrealistic. Far from it. It's the truth that Democrats are living in their own little world where no one can do any harm, where terrorism doesn't exist, where illegal immigration isn't a crime, where the government is the only thing that can tell you how and what you should do, where we shouldn't be able to have firearms because that's too dangerous, and we should just take in 500,000 refugees. Why not? Because in their world, that's okay. But not in the real world. The Democrats have continued to try to shape reality, shape history, to fit whatever they want the history to look like. At the DNC again, Mississippi's flag was removed because in the top left corner, it has the Confederate flag in it. Just another time that the Democrats are trying to remove history, trying to alter history into whatever fits their narrative. Trying to eliminate flags because they have history within them. Trying to tear down monuments because it was for the opposite side of the war. Because it was for the Confederacy. You know what? They continue to say that the Confederate flag is racist, that Republicans are racist for wanting it to be able to fly, that we shouldn't be able to have that First Amendment right. But it's the Democrats that throughout all of history have supported slavery, have supported Jim Crow laws, have supported segregation. It's the Democrats that have continued to divide this country throughout our entire history. If you remember correctly, President Lincoln, who freed the slaves, was a Republican. If you remember correctly, Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican. These people that shaped our history, that ended these racist policies, were all Republicans. It's the Democrats who have continued to try to push more racist policies into the forefront of our country. And you know what I haven't heard throughout the entire convention so far? They haven't talked about ISIS whatsoever. No, instead they've talked about how cops are all evil, how they're attacking innocent black children. They talked about that last night with the Mothers of the Movement segment, where it was the mothers of all of the thugs that police have killed throughout the past couple years. But I haven't seen them talk about the problem of ISIS in the Middle East, in our allies' nations, in our own country. They haven't talked about how we're going to stop it. No, instead, they're just saying that, no, the only evil in the world is cops and Republicans. That's been the narrative throughout this entire convention. That's been the narrative that they've had throughout the entire election season. Trump called out the DNC for ignoring ISIS in a press conference. That was earlier today. And of course, the DNC still hasn't aired anything about ISIS. He also reinforced his immigration policy, of course, the wall, and then saying that we need to halt immigration from the Middle East, where all this terrorism is taking place. And of course, he talked about how Hillary Clinton wants to let in 550% more refugees, and how that's just going to ruin our country. And here's something that I really, the media's blowing up over. Donald Trump joked about how it might be Russia that hacked the DNC's emails. And he joked about saying if they had Hillary's 30,000 emails that went, quote-unquote, missing, that maybe they should hand them over to the FBI. He just joked about it, you know? And CNN and MSNBC, front of the news, top of the lineup, everything Trump is saying that Russia should have spies and should hack all of our emails in America, that he's encouraging Russia to take all of American intelligence, you know, completely taking everything out of proportion and out of context. And that's what they've continued to do throughout this entire election cycle with anything that Trump says. Has he said some things that are questionable? Yes, it's Donald Trump. But of course, a lot of the time he is joking when he talks about stuff like this. But of course, the liberal media blows up, not looking at the full story, not looking at the context in which it was said, instead taking small snippets and piecing them together so that it fits their narrative that Donald Trump and the Republicans are racist, are destroying America. And that's what we've seen for a long, long time. Looking at the live blog again. As Biden left the stage, he yelled out, "We never bow, we never bend. We never break when confronted with crisis. No, we endure." Now, I'm not sure what that was in reference to, whether he finally talked about ISIS or not, but I have a feeling it was more talking about police brutality instead. The crowd cheered not a clue because Biden said that Trump doesn't have a clue. All in all, it seems like his speech was just ordinary bash Trump speech. And that's really it. Obama arrives in Philadelphia and will be speaking within the next hour. So that's really all the new news going on in the DNC. You know, besides them not talking about what's actually important, And besides them not actually talking about what's facing our country, the real threats that are facing our country. When I come back, I'm going to talk about the racism that has been happening at the DNC and within Black Lives Matters. You're not going to want to miss this story. Don't go anywhere. This is the Wise Conservative Show.
Hi, everybody. This week, I want to make sure that you're aware of a group of young people that are out to reverse my fundamental transformation of America. This organization is called Youth Revolt. And before I go any further, I must urge folks not to visit youthrevolt.org. Now, Michelle and I, we're both gravely concerned that if this group succeeds, our children may not grow up to see the Marxist country that we will hopefully one day become. So I repeat, do not visit youthrevolt.org. And remember, I've got a pen and I've got a phone, and I will use them if I have to. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
I don't feel no ways tired. You know? Don't let anybody tell you that, it's corporations and businesses that create jobs.
Hillary Clinton, just another political clown. The Wise Conservative Show, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt.
And that, class, is why America is the worst country in the history of the world.
Are you sick of your professors telling you lies?
Now remember, children, if you're white, it means you're privileged. Don't ever forget that.
Do you sit through class convinced that your head is going to explode at any given moment? Sounds like you could use some backup. Visit youthrevolt.org for exclusive content produced by young conservatives for young conservatives. Youth Revolt features a dedicated team of radio hosts, political columnists, and video bloggers, all of whom are 100% committed to taking back the future of this country. So what are you waiting for? Tune out your Marxist professor and visit youthrevolt.org now.
Hey, little boy, you want some free college?
Bernie Sanders, that creepy uncle your mom warned you about. The Wise Conservative Show, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt.
Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show. I'm your host, Connor Wise. Now, I promised that I'd talk about the racism ensuing at the DNC right now. So earlier today, there was a black DNC resistance march. And they were seen segregating the protesters by ordering white people to the back of the line. One of the leaders of it was heard yelling this from the bed of a pickup truck. "I need all white people to move to the back. Make space because this is a black resistance march. I need all white people to move to the back and make room for the black and brown brothers and sisters." She went on to say, "You will appropriately take your place in the back of this march because it will truly be led by the black and brown community, and that's it." And then she even continued to try to segregate the media. Quote, "Make room for black media. White media get to the back. Black media come to the front." Now, they're segregating people, and they're claiming that we're the racist ones. They're segregating blacks and whites, but claiming that Donald Trump is racist. I haven't seen anything this bad in forever, honestly. Like, I don't think in my lifetime I've ever seen anything this bad in terms of race, in terms of racism. They're basically saying that anyone who's white isn't a part of the protest and needs to get to the back of it because only black and brown people are allowed to be in the protest. And then won't even let white news anchors or media to actually record anything or interview people from the front of it. And this is segregation at its core. I mean, this is literally segregation. This is the epitome of racism. But these are the kinds of people that say that you can't be racist against white people. That say that you can only be racist against blacks or Mexicans. And then they go and do this. I don't see how they can even say that this is anywhere near not racist. That this isn't racist towards white people. This protest was organized by a coalition of neighborhood groups, of course including Black Lives Matters from the Philadelphia chapter. We've seen Black Lives Matters be one of the most racist organizations in our lifetime, if not the most racist organization. And this just proves that they are trying to segregate people, that they're trying to do this. This just proves the Black Lives Matters is not trying to help anyone. It's not helping the racial tensions in America. In fact, it's making it worse. We have seen throughout President Barack Obama's presidency, his administration has fueled the division between different races within America. We have seen him and Al Sharpton continue to use race baiting to divide this country. We have seen them continue to do that, all while saying that they're the ones unifying the country. All while saying that conservatives hate anyone who isn't white. This is the hypocrisy that we have to talk about on a weekly basis. Every week, we have some sort of new hypocrisy within the liberal movement, within the Democratic Party, to talk about and to tell you guys. It's because they do stuff like this very often. I saw a video. It was from a couple weeks ago. Black Lives Matters blocked a sidewalk and wouldn't let an old white man walk through and made him walk around a 2-block radius to get to his work just because he was white. They're doing all of this stuff, this racist activity, and no one calls them out on it. No one in the media, besides maybe Fox News, says that this is a bad thing, says that this segregation is setting us back to the 60s. MLK would hate Black Lives Matter because he truly was for unifying America. Rosa Parks would hate Black Lives Matter because she wanted to unify America. But these Black Lives Matter protesters, that's not their goal. Their goal is not to unify us. Their goal is to create chaos and to inflict harm on police and white Americans. That's been their goal throughout their entire time as an organization. Later in the day today at the DNC, there were demonstrators that were seen dragging the Israeli flag through the streets, some of which were burned, some of the Israeli flags. And then they burned and stomped on the American flag. These people at this convention, these Democrats, they're anti-American. There's no other way to put it. They hate anything and everything that has to do with America. They continue to hate anything, our freedoms, our Second Amendment right. They want to limit that. If they could, they would take it away completely. They want to limit our First Amendment right so people can't be bullies. They want to take away our Fifth Amendment right and take away due process. These people are anti-American, anti-liberty. They're anti-freedom. They want to change America to be like these countries that don't have any rights, the countries, the Slavic countries, the socialist countries. They want us to be more like those countries, have us pay 90% of our income to the government, have the government tell us when and what we can eat, what we can do, have the government control education for the entire country, the federal government, have it control healthcare, have it control the internet, have it control every single thing that we use. I guarantee if these people who are burning the American flag, who are stomping on the American flag, desecrating it, if they got their way, I guarantee I probably wouldn't even be allowed to have this podcast. They'd outlaw any conservative ideals. Because they don't care about our rights, they don't care about our freedoms. For some reason, in their delusional minds, they think that these liberties are hurting people. They think that more government is the answer. They think that a socialist or a communist nation is going to help us. These are the same people that are calling for the abolition of our police department. These are the same people that are calling for the abolition of our rights. And you know, I want to make this clear. I don't think that it should be illegal to burn the American flag or any flag for that matter. That's your First Amendment right. But I'm definitely going to be mad at you when you do it. When you disrespect the flag that thousands of people have died for. When you disrespect the flag of our biggest ally, Israel. Of course I'm going to be mad at you. And of course I'm going to think that you shouldn't be doing that. But here's the difference between conservatives and liberals. Just because we don't like it doesn't mean that we outlaw it. We believe in personal freedom. We believe that people can make their own decisions. I don't know, for some reason, liberals don't think that anyone should be able to make their own decisions. For some reason, if a liberal hates anything, they think that the government should outlaw it and completely take care of it, tell people whether they can do it or not. Have the government control everything. I want to jump back to the Black Lives Matter march with the segregation real quick. Because I brought up this study. I used it when I filled in for the Jason Veely program on Monday. But it's really eye-opening. This study It shows that, and it's even higher than this now. This was done on July 17th, so it was 10 days ago. So it's a little old, and we have had police killings since then, but it's saying that police officer deaths from guns are up 72% from just last year at this time. And these protests that are anti-police, Black Lives Matter, all these people, they're the ones that are fueling that anti-cop sentiment and leading to 72% more of our police being shot and killed. I mentioned this earlier. Yesterday, the Mothers of the Movement, they spoke at the DNC. They basically said that cops are evil, that all of America is racist, that we're systematically racist within this country, and that we should judge all police officers by the action of a few, and that we should punish our police officers for the actions of a few. They hate every little thing about our police, and they're the reason why police officer deaths are up 72%. Last year, at this time, only 18 police officers had been killed by a gun at this point into the year. As of July 17th, 31 police officers had been killed by guns this year. Throughout the entire year of 2015, only 41 police officers died from gun-related deaths. Only 41. We're already up to 31, and it's only July. This division within America is leading to innocent police officers to be killed, to be gunned down. And it's President Barack Obama and Black Lives Matter that are fueling it. Now, I know you've noticed this. This has been big news, the recent attack on Tuesday, yesterday. I woke up to the notifications of another terrorist attack in France. And I mentioned this earlier. 2 ISIS sympathizers went into a Catholic church and they held 5 people hostage and then ended up slitting the throat of a priest. Police officers tried to reason with them. They did arrest both of the people, the attackers, but not before they got to the priest. Not before they interrupted Mass and brutally and viciously killed an innocent priest. People noticed that as they were leaving the church in handcuffs, that they were chanting Allahu Akbar. Sister Danielle it's a French name, Delafosse, she was there at the church, and she witnessed them gather around the altar and perform some sort of religious oration in Arabic before forcing the priest to his knees and placing a knife to his neck. Now, this is just one of many attacks that have happened in the past couple weeks. It seems like every day or every other day there's a new attack. They're definitely increasing in the frequency. A couple years ago, it was maybe one every few years. Then it came up to one a year. Last year, it seemed like it started being one every month. And now it seems like it's a few times every week. It's because we haven't done anything to stop these terrorists in the Middle East. We haven't done anything to bring the fight to them. We haven't done anything to stop the Islamic State. And yet, even with all of this happening on, well, just about on the daily, at the DNC, they still haven't talked about ISIS. They still haven't talked about the threat of terrorism to America. They still haven't talked about radical Islamic jihadism. They think that Donald Trump is a bigger threat than a terrorist organization that is actively killing innocent people throughout the entire world. They think that global warming is a bigger issue than stopping terrorists from killing Americans and killing citizens of our allies. They think that all of these issues like this are far more important than keeping us safe. And that's why Hillary Clinton cannot be elected in November. That's why I'm proud to be in the Never Hillary movement, because she would continue to ignore the fact that terrorism is rampant in the world. Because she would continue to ignore the fact that our country is in danger. She would instead say that anyone who denies global warming is a domestic terrorist, because global warming is the biggest threat to America, according to the Democrats. And that's exactly why I'm so glad to see all of this chaos ensuing at the DNC. All of the protests going on against it, all of the people threatening to leave the Democratic Party with Demexit. Tomorrow we'll see if that actually does happen. We'll see if those people that we heard earlier, if they actually do leave the Democratic Party and go either to vote for Trump or for Jill Stein. Next week we'll have to talk about whether that actually happens or not. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Connor Wise. This has been the Wise Conservative Show. As always, you can reach us at youthrevolt.org. At Facebook, just find us at YouthRevolt. And on Instagram at _wise_conservative. Thank you, and God bless.